So this week we read The Descent of Man and the Origins of Species, chapter 3 and chapter 4. The Descent of Man by Darwin he's arguing for the idea of evolution of mankind, that we have progressed from a lower animal. He talks about our body structures. He talks about dormant organs that's in our body that we don't use anymore, things that are there or present that is different in different races, and how they're connected to the animal kingdom, and how there's some similarities there in some of the things that we don't use, or we have that we don't use. When he talks about scent, talks about a lot of different things that may or may not be coincidence. I'm going to get into that, but you do see it make an interesting connection from one idea to another about how when we're embryos, at the very beginning stages, we're almost you can't tell apart from an animal to a human until we start distinguish. This is actually starting to grow and start to distinguish who we are and what we are. So those are interesting ideas, and can definitely understand how he could come to that conclusion from those particular things. Then you get into the origin of species, and so as you look at that, it's a pretty neat book. I think he actually makes some pretty good claims in this book, and the idea here is survival of the fittest. That is the mechanism that makes this thing work, is natural selection. And so I think we've seen that through time, and some of it's been natural selection as in something's happened and obviously things have died out, and then the stronger have continued to survive. And I think that it's kind of progressed to a point where humans have progressed to a point to where we have caused some of that selection to go forward, to move faster. And I know that's not what he's talking about, but we kind of see that as we see the extinction of a lot of animals. One of the things that he argues for in the struggle for existence is the fact that there is these laws, these bounds that keep things going, that in perfect climates and conditions, without any kind of situation, that each item, whether it be a plant or an organism or an animal, would actually thrive and grow really well until some kind of destruction fell on it, and then it would kind of decline and go the other way. And so this is constantly a push and pull of existence in order for the numbers not to go too high, and then also for them not to go too low. However, every now and then there is an extinction thing that happens, and you see that on the next part of natural selection. And this idea is that the species, whether it be plants or whether it be animals, that eventually the animal population that has the largest variety, that has the right climate conditions, those things, the stronger ones mate together, and as they continue to grow, they create a new species that ends up fighting against the old species that would cause the old species to die out, and then they become extinct or very low thriving, and then this new dominant species continues to grow. All right, so let's move on past all that. From a philosophical standpoint, I'm not going to get into any theological stuff, because this would I could spend all night on the phone here about that. I know we talked about that in the video. So the thing that I really noticed, and I think if I had to pick one particular instance out of this, is the bee theory, where he said that the humble bees fed into these red clovers because they could get in there to them. But the hive bees, if they had to, they couldn't get to this particular clover. And so the idea here is maybe these bees could cross, and eventually they would you produce a bee that could get into that clover, and that stronger bee would become a new species, and this other bee would die out, and it would move on. There's the idea of that kind of mentality. The problem I have with that is it's an assumption that there's going to be, first of all, the two would pair. This is in any species, that the two would pair, that there's always going to be a stronger species that comes out, that just happens, some kind of variety that shows up. I think there's too many assumptions on the variety of an animal or a plant that is going to super adapt to its surroundings and then move. And then they're going to, this other thing will breed with it and then it'll produce this offspring. They'll carry that. How many times does that has to happen in order for to be a new species? There has to be several strong variations in order for you to receive a population that decimates the original population. And so I think that's the problem, is the assumption that there's going to be all these special, stronger species that take over, that are able to be bred with in order to create a new generation, a new species, a new genre. I think the idea there is almost impossible. I don't think that you can put it to paper and make it make sense. I do understand that every now and then there's a stronger animal, there's a stronger thing, but it doesn't always fit the narrative that, okay, hey, this strong thing is there's several of them, and then as they breed, they're going to continue to grow and grow and grow. Obviously, we know that animals that breed amongst their relatives, humans or animals alike, have very bad problems, mental problems. You see retardation and things like that take place in that with those kind of things happening. So you can't have this one animal and it breed and its offspring breeds together, and that doesn't work that way. There has to be different ones that make this grow out. And so I think that's your biggest flaw. All right, 2 questions. Missing link. Where is it? That's my problem with evolution beyond theology. Where is the missing link? Where is the subspecies between human and ape? I mean, we talk about Neanderthals and some of these stuff, and some of these talk about maybe there are different breeds, different species of humans or right before humans, but there is a missing link. What about before apes? Where did that come from? And where did it come from? Did it crawl out of the ocean? What happened? And then the second question I have, at what point does the body adapt to its surroundings and this new adaptation become permanent? I mean, if I stood in water long enough, if I had my children born in water and they stayed in water, and those children, and we continue to stay, eventually we would have gills? And at what point would that happen? I mean, that's the problem I deal with when it comes to the philosophy side of evolution.